And without probing too far, as simple as you go, are you okay?
Yes.
And you do a pause to say, are you okay? Genuinely ask the question, what can I help? And we can solve this together. That's how you build loyalty. That's how you build commitment and motivation to execute the strategy and idea and to make things happen.
Welcome to another episode of the Prosper Brief. I'm your host, Jeremiah Nguyen. Today we have a very special guest. We have Cynthia Zhang, the Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Product Strategy at Henny Penny. Cynthia.
So excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. So first of all, the elephant in the room is, where are we right now?
The Accelerate event, super exciting.
It's so good because all the breakout sessions and all the different speakers, everything has been so great. So first thing I'll have to ask is, what has been your favorite moment this entire weekend?
All the keynotes, all the panel discussion, they're so great. But my favorite part of this event is to get to know each other in the industry, and you get to know people you don't usually talk to, and everybody's so high energy. It's so great and very open. I love it.
Yeah, so that's one thing I love about this whole entire group and like the culture that we bring together, right? When me and my wife, when we were at Prosper Forum for the first time, meeting all the accelerators, we felt like this is who we should have been around our entire life. So it's so nice just to have such a condensed an event that has a condensed amount of people who we think the same. We're like-minded. We're all driven. We have growth mindsets. I really appreciate that. And honestly, that's why I'm glad to be talking to you, because we have so much in common.
Absolutely. And I feel this episode is very special to me because to me, it's not a podcast. It's talking to our friends. We're already friends. So it's awesome. Awesome.
That's awesome. So it's not a podcast, but we do have themes, right? And the thing that when we were going through our discussions, and we like to do prep calls, empathy was a very big thing. So talk to me about empathy and your relationship with that.
So this is a topic I'm personally invested and personally passionate about. So to me, empathy is very critical. And I'll start saying what empathy is not. So there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. And a lot of times people confuse those terms together. Yeah. To me, they both started at the same place, meaning you have to listen first, you have to understand first, and then you can take that understanding to understand the other person's challenge and opportunity. The difference between sympathy and empathy is sympathy stops there. Yeah. To me, it stops to say, I know you're going through a lot of personal challenge, I feel bad, and I sympathize with you. Yeah. Empathy take action. Empathy is about, I understand your challenge. There's a problem to solve. Yes. How can I support and how I can work together and go through? And I'll give you an analogy. This is going to sound a little different. Okay. So we all see doctors, right, in the health profession. And when we are physically ill, we seek medical advice. A good doctor, we want them to be sympathetic. We want them to understand us as a human and our challenge, but we want them to solve problem, right? So that's empathy to me. You have to solve problem together. You have to take it to the next level.
That's a powerful analogy, because imagine if you go to a doctor and they say, oh, well, it looks like you have a disease. I feel so sorry for you.
What you can do for me? Yeah, like you helping solve me, cure me. So.
And it's like some people, a lot of times we need to be pulled up, whether it's based off of our backgrounds, where we grew up, just the mentality, the people we're around, we need to be pulled up. So if you can see and acknowledge where I'm at, it's nice. It's nice for you to say, oh, that's so great. But if you're able to give me something actionable that can help me go to the next level in my life, maybe be better, that's so powerful. So let's talk about empathy 100%. In the workplace. With the people that you lead, how do you empathize with the people you work with, and how do you take action based off of your understanding of them?
So I have been in corporate America for a long time, in different industry, working in different parts of the world. And I wanted to put this notion out there first. A lot of people think being a leader, being an empathetic leader is a little fluffy. It's a little soft. It's an optional thing. And to me, I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. I think being empathetic is a necessity for leadership. Why I say that? I think the first step is to listen, to understand, and sequentially, you can, based on your understanding, to provide a solution, provide resources and support.
Yeah.
So you have to listen first and understand first. And how you do that is you will have to trust each other first. Yeah. If you do not have that psychological safety space for people to open up for you and to trust you and to openly talk about their vulnerability and challenges, you can't take it to the next level. So I think corporate America is always this cutting throat competitive space, but being empathetic is so necessary for managing a team or being part of a team member.
Yeah. So let's dive into that. So give me a story where that was a story where you were empathetic specifically, and what happened after that. So where you showed empathy towards the people you were leading.
That's a really good question. I can think a lot of examples. I'll start it with what I benefit from working for an empathetic leader when I was young. So my first job out of college, I work in China, in Beijing, and it's a Japanese company. Mitsubishi Bank is my first employer. So I was 21, super young, and go to a workspace. It's an entry-level analyst position. So as you can imagine, those executives in the boardroom is a kind of an intimidating environment. Yeah. But I got there, and my boss is sitting in the boardroom, and with my executives from Mitsubishi Bank from Tokyo, they're sitting in the same room together. And there's a moment when one of the executive, his coffee is empty. So his coffee is empty. So he just looked at me. I'm the only woman on the table, super young, 21. He goes like this. So it's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to let me fill your coffee? What do you want? So I was young and I was a little aggressive, so I look at him, I go like this as well. So, and there's a whole interesting moment was captured by my boss. Like he's just there, he has a little smile, but we went on a break and he pulled me aside. He said, you know, I noticed there's some tensions between you and him. And for him, you have to understand he's new to the office. He probably doesn't know where the coffee station is. Assume good intent. Maybe that's what he need your help on, and for you, it's unfair for you to think he treated you differently, is not fairly, so you should talk to him. So I think sometimes empathy is about observing the room, understand and aware of the situation, and just provide some guidance to people. And that moment to me is 20 years ago, still very vivid to me in my memory.
I really love that because it reminds me accountability. Sometimes we look at accountability like it's this negative word, or like you just, like it's apparent, you know, like there's that weird relationship of you feel like it's your boss, they're like, they're going to chew you out. But that's accountability right there.
You're right.
Like he acknowledged you, he showed empathy for you, and he held you accountable. And he also said, maybe there's something that you can do to empathize with him as well.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Don't feel like in this defensive position immediately. Yeah. Assume good intent. Again, assume good intent and think from the other person's perspective. Try to understand each other's position. That is important. And you ask me about the working environment. There is this notion of we should focus on KPIs, we should focus on strategy and vision. I think those are all critical stuff, right? Yeah. But to me, you can have vision, you can have strategy, but you need people to execute that vision and strategy. So people are humans. We are behind every single great vision and strategy. And I hope you can go to Eaton, Ohio, visit Henny Penny, and go to my office. You will see a sign there. It used to say, execution, eat strategy for breakfast. And now it's a simplified version. Is GSD, is get shit done. Okay, I shouldn't say that on a podcast. But it's about people needs to be motivated, people needs to be trusted. And if people trust you, it goes such a long way.
Yeah.
It goes such a long way. And you can work together, share resources, share this great innovative idea, and that openness goes a long way as well.
Wow. Okay, so there's power in that. So I've seen a documentary, and I don't know if you don't want to dig into this, we can like move on. But I've seen a documentary about just the workers in China who are like building like iPhones, right?
Yes.
Like these plants have like 1 million people. It's so big that sometimes they like stay on site, and it's like it does a lot to the mental health, right? So what you're saying about not being so focused on the KPI but on the people, it's almost exactly opposite.
It's so interesting you said that. I originally coming from China, and then I still have family member work for Apple factory in China. I have cousins work for big tech company in China like Alibaba. They do work nonstop, 24/7, and they live in a dorm. They live in a dorm because the company accommodated the dormitory and the cafeteria because they encourage you to work overtime and to get stuff done. I think that working ethic is important. You can keep go. But I sometimes exactly agree. Your mental health get challenged because you need a mental break.
Yeah.
You need a recharging moment to move on. So I think that is a balance. How you deliver good, concrete business results, balance with your mental space, balance with your physical health and your personal life, and that's super important.
That's so interesting. I think I read somewhere that a CEO of a major company that employs hundreds of thousands of people, the expectation that they're not going to really last past 3 years.
Yes.
And I remember when I was working at a factory, it was like a warehouse doing dog food. I wasn't allowed to sit down anywhere. So like you're working 8, 10 hours. I would think I was doing 4 10s. 10 hours straight. I mean, you get a 15-minute break, but it takes you 15 minutes to walk to the break room. Go figure. But it's like, do you feel like when you aren't being empathetic to your employees and when you are based off of just the numbers, that you're intentionally trying to, I don't want to say hurt, but you're intentionally trying to just wear out your workers because you're just ready for the next batch?
I 100% agree with that. So I used to, before I work in Henny Penny, I used to be in big public traded company. As you can imagine, I came from the industry of automotive, quarterly results. Everything is measured by number. Every single task and project is tied with gazillion of KPIs. So I think my team, they all have measurement and numbers. But if they didn't deliver their monthly numbers, weekly numbers, quarterly numbers, you should challenge. That's accountability part you were talking about. Why you're not meeting your numbers and how I can help to improve those numbers. Yeah. I think those are all fair, great, concrete business management 101. However, I don't know if you have seen this amazing TV show called Severance.
Oh my gosh.
So that's one of my favorite shows.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's about a corporate self and your personal self are two different people. Well, that's not how it works. Yeah. In reality, your corporate life influence your personal life. Your personal life influence your corporate life. Yeah. It's one person, and that is you. So sometimes if my team didn't deliver certain numbers, of course you challenge the number first. You're trying to figure out the business solutions first. But if it's still not going, and you're starting to ask yourself the question, is he or she has some personal issues? Yeah. Are they facing some personal challenges? Yeah. And without probing too far, as simple as you go, are you okay?
Yes.
And you do a pause to say, are you okay? Genuinely ask the question. And you get open a lot of doors, and they will share information they would never share with you. And then you go, I understand the challenge. Maybe you take a few days off. What can I help? And we can solve this together. Yeah. That's how you build loyalty. That's how you build commitment and motivation to execute the strategy and idea and to make things happen.
Wow. It's even going back to the severance, it's so dramatic.
Yes.
That's exactly how people treat you. And I remember even in college, right? Every teacher treats you like, oh, I'm going to give you all this work as if that's the only class. Like, yes. I can't read a book today. Like, I have 4 other classes.
100%.
But then in the corporate world and when you start working, it's almost like they don't care about leave your problems at home, come in here, you need to execute really well, and then you can be gone on the weekends, you know? And because we're not able to be severed and have that separation, it does become mentally exhausting. And I remember my first corporate job that I had straight out of college, it was draining. I was a chaplain, so that means I had to pray for inmates, I had to counsel people. I was in the middle of a jail. I was like the leader of a whole unit, right? So it was spiritually, mentally, it was draining. I was going through a divorce at the time. So I came into this place and I had all this baggage with me that I already brought there. Then a whole bunch of stuff happening there. So I couldn't, whether I was in the jail or out of the jail, I felt like I was crazy season of my life.
Right.
But in the midst of that, the people who were above me, every single thing I did wrong, they're sending an email up the ladder. It's like everybody CC'd, captains, administration. I'm just like.
Everybody hates the reply all. Or copy the managers.
Yes.
Just don't do that. Try to understand the situation first, one-on-one, build this impersonal moment and build that connection.
Yeah.
It's just a powerful tool.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
But it's like that whole season, it made me depressed. I was like in such a depression because there was no escaping it. So the lack of empathetic leaders in my life at that time, it made me, I'm going through things in my personal life that really, really hurt and they suck. I'm at work, you're making my life miserable too. Where is my hope?
You know, it's so interesting you said that. I personally deeply believe you being what kind of leader you are has a tremendous ripple effect to the people who work with you, for the people who work for you. So I'll give you examples of, as you can imagine, being a woman, being a millennial, being an Asian woman in a relatively conservative industry. It's an interesting dynamic in the boardroom.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have leaders who are very aggressive, who get stuff done, but they didn't do it the right way. So they do eventually get there, but the how to get there is wrong. So as they went in with one single point of view, they already made up their mind and they're not open to different opinions. So that's the kind of leader that shut everybody down. Because I remember I work with leaders like that and on the same table, and when they are, you can observe that's the kind of leader they are. The ripple effect it creative is a negative ripple effect. So what you do is, I remember myself saying, fine, let's circle back. I appreciate the input. Maybe let's regroup offline. We all know the corporate lingo for that is like, I don't want to talk to you, and we'll never circle back, right? So I think that kind of leadership is very toxic. But on the opposite side, if you have very empathetic leader, observe the room, ask everybody's opinion, specifically those people don't agree with you, right? We'll say, hey, Jeremiah, why do you think that way? Cynthia, why you think something different? Let me help you to understand why you come from, and maybe we can meet in the middle and reach a consensus. That's the positive leadership. And if you keep going on with this empathetic leadership, it encourages innovation, it encourages new ideas. It's just a very positive thing.
So how do you lead up? If I love my coworkers, but my manager is like not empathetic and everybody hates the manager, or everybody feels like the manager is oppressive, how can we teach our manager to be more empathetic, or how can we set a different expectation?
That's a great question. It's an interesting question because depending on who your manager are, right? What you advise or not may or may not be taken or accepted. So there's a tactic and techniques to it and how you talk to him or her, right? If you know, my leader is not the most empathetic leader, but sometimes you try to just ask the right question. Ask them why they think that way and propose a different scenario to say, what about this? What about that? Provide options and make sure he or she understand the other side of the table. And then I think a big moment is mutual. You can't only expect other people to be empathetic and you are not. You have to be empathetic on the opposite and other perspectives. And it takes a lot of efforts to manage up, to your point. But I think with the right level of trust, people will open up and willing to listen.
The curiosity is a theme that's been happening at the Accelerate conference. Being curious and working on not assuming intent. What do you think about that? About just the learning not to assume intent based off of if it's somebody who's comes to work angry or upset. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Assuming good intent is a very powerful thing. And I think a lot of cases, if people disagree, they have opposite views and perspective, we as humans tends to get defensive. And a lot of those conversations become more a debate, and who has a stronger voice, who can win the debate.
Yes.
But the reality of that is, if you have your view, I have my view, we will never make agreement. It's not good for the business to go anywhere. We just get stuck.
Yeah.
So it's important to open up and I want to bring this notion of vulnerability. I think a lot of leaders is you have to be able to overcome your ego. You have to overcome the fear of saying, I don't know everything, right? And open to this idea of there are people that's younger, that's more inexperienced, but they know more than I do, right? And showing that vulnerability alone can go a long way.
The funny thing about Severance is the way that I was empathizing for the character.
Yes,
right? So
100%. I feel you.
He's so depressed that he decides to go and get a job where whatever happens at work, he's finally like able to just release his pain of the loss of his wife. Sorry if you haven't seen it, but whatever. And then it's like that completely became, his whole life was based off of that. That was the aesthetic of his life. He woke up and went to sleep from loss, from that hurt. And it's like, how many people do we work with when they're waking up in pain? They're waking up depressed. They're waking up sad. They're waking up hurting. And what do we as leaders do?
We're humans. We're not robots,
Yeah.
right? So when in a situation like that, you can't expect that particular individual to come to work, change their face, put a brave face on, and contribute 120%. That's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
You have to understand his or her challenge and adjust your approach accordingly, right?
But even to say that, there's some people who can operate like that, but not everybody's like you. There's some women who can be pregnant, working 2 jobs, killing it, traveling. And then there's some women who, when they're pregnant, that's just a completely different situation. Like, everybody has a different capacity, so you have to be able to be mindful of that. Like, I know that I have a high capacity, and I know that my wife doesn't have the same capacity as me. So there's an accountability of, we have expectations, but I'm going to judge you at a different place than how I'll judge myself, you know?
Exactly.
And I think that's really what it all comes down to.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
As a leader, how can we lead by example? Does it all just come down to, like, literally just be empathetic, like, and create the ripples?
Creating the ripples are so important, and it's contagious. It's contagious. And once you show, and I also say this, there are leaders I work for in the past. They're trying to be empathetic, but they're not really sincere in being an empathetic leader. So is this a corporate buzzword? I'm trying to be a better leader. I'm trying to be empathetic.
Yeah.
But let me fake it. You can fake sincerity. That's like an awful thing to assume it is a real thing. It's not a real thing. But because if you fake it, people can see through it. People are going to not trust you further. So how it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So you have to really bring your authentic self and be genuine, be really listening. And that you and I talked about this before. Real listening doesn't mean I look in your eyes and I go, this is listening. Or I already made up my mind. I don't care what he's saying. I'm nodding, I'm listening. I'm not truly listening. People catch that. People catch that. People are very smart and they catch that. For you as a true leader to create that empathetic ripple effect, you have to truly listen. And you need to be able and willing to change your point of view and adjust your point of view based on that listening. You need to take the input and adjust your position. I think that's true listening and not just nodding and smiling.
Yeah. So you told me during our prep, like just your relationship with your mom and how you didn't have the typical upbringing as far as empathy, as far as the role that a woman is supposed to play. Do you want to kind of tell us about how that has influenced where you're at today with this mentality of empathy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a traditional Chinese family. So my parents have very high expectation on me, like all the stereotypical Asian tiger mom you can even imagine. She is a great example of balancing accountability and empathy. So I think she's pushing for results. I'm never good enough. That's in her eyes, I'm never good enough. Oh, you become the number one in the class. How about number one in school? How about number one in the district? How about number one in the state? There's always higher goals for me to pursue. So she pushed me hard to do that. She pushed me really, really hard to do that. And that's the accountability part. The empathetic part is at school, if I disagree with the teacher, if I have some conflict with different people, a lot of the Chinese mom will immediately take the side of the school and goes, okay, why do you do this? You need to correct this 1, 2, 3. My mom gains my trust deeply by listening to my perspective to say what happened, why you challenge your teacher, why you disagree, and she just listened to me. And I feel that moment is very empowering as a teenager, as you go, wow, there's an adult. My own mom actually understand where I come from, or even trying to understand my perspective, and that is very powerful. It goes a long way, and it builds a strong relationship and help to shape me be the person and the woman I am. And I like, when I get to leadership position, that's the position I take as well.
Thank you for sharing that story. That's such a beautiful story because it does seem like a lot of the tension that we get with leadership or with authority or with being held accountable, it does stem from the home, Like, were you able to have a voice, and were you able to actually say no? Were you able to actually get an explanation from your parent? And for me, it's just average black parent, average black household where it's like, my dad says something, you do not question it, or
absolutely authority.
He will slap the black off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So it's like, that absolute authority. And it took me time when I became into adulthood to not be fearful or not have so much reverence and respect for authority, to where like I came like very just humbled and like just half of who I actually am, You
know what that means for, if I translate that mentality and story into corporate America, how you expect people to bring forward ideas that are non-traditional, unconventional, and innovative. And if you say, been there, done that, it's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
And this person will shut up from that moment on.
Exactly.
But if you provide that openness and that safe space, everybody will bring ideas. That's how we all get better.
Yeah.
We all get better together.
That's so great. So I'm being overly transparent for no reason. So today, so we had like a group message, and there was a question asked, and I was really short with my answer. And I was like, oh shoot, this is a text message. The N was lower. I'm overly analytical, right? The N was lowercase.
Overthinking it.
I said no, but the N was lowercase, so oh my gosh, it's probably gonna come off as rude. So I said a couple other things, and I was like, dang, this doesn't feel good, because we have a great relationship, and she had an idea, and I was like, I didn't want to shut her down, but we're busy doing a bunch of stuff. I'm exhausted. So I was talking to James Fripp about it, and one thing that he said was, it was important for me to apologize, and acknowledge that and explain to her the situation that I was kind of dealing with.
Right.
And I could have said it in a better way.
Yes.
I could have acknowledged, and I hear you. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me that option. But this is what we're doing, and this is why.
Yes.
So he said, you never want the people who you're leading to feel afraid to give you ideas, to bring things to the table. So I did. I went and apologized. They didn't even care. It wasn't a big deal for them. But for me, I knew in my heart, like, my intentions and who I am. And I just would never want someone to feel like I don't want them to bring any ideas or any creativity to the table because it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
But I think that was just talking to James Fripp today was just, it was so important because I'm like, if I'm going to be leading people, I don't want them to feel the way I used to feel, which is I can't bring anything to the table. You don't have a voice. Whatever the leadership says, go. It's like, no, feel free to challenge me. And I'll be the first one to say, but that way's better.
Yeah.
I don't know, this way just makes more sense, or we can try that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just always want to have that openness. I think that's what you just.
That's a beautiful message. And I'm going to say something that's a little controversial.
Okay.
I'm just going to say it. In my career, in different parts of the world, in different industry, I want to caution leaders, being empathetic, don't find excuses. Do not find excuses for that. So I heard excuses like gender related, right? To say, oh, because you're a woman, so you're by nature more empathetic, more listening. Like a man shouldn't be held at the same standard.
Yeah.
And other excuses will be the culture element, and to say, hey, this is a different culture. This is a different culture, this very hierarchy culture. That's just the way he or she come from. So it's okay for him or her to be not that way.
Yeah.
And I do not want people to find excuses, whether it's culture, gender, whatever the reason.
Yeah.
Just be a good human, be a good empathetic leader.
I love that. And I was talking to my wife about that because I'm like, you can have an excuse and it can be valid, but that doesn't give you a reason to not change.
Okay, 100%.
It doesn't give you a reason to continue to have that same fixed mindset.
Yes.
Yes, it happened, but what next?
Exactly.
What
exactly.
next? Are you going to stay in there? You can justify it as much as you want, and the only thing that does is make you sleep better at night, I guess. But it doesn't change the situation that you're in, and it also doesn't change the people that you're negatively impacting.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that.
Yes.
Cynthia, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. I know we've been talking about this for months.
I love it. And every time we talk, it's not about the podcast. It's about something else. I just enjoy talking to you. Next time, we talk about severance.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You heard it here. So, you guys, I hope you guys are learning to become empathetic leaders. And once again, thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you for having me.